Let me ask you something. When did you last get laid, Laszlo?
Speaking of lies. Wait, look, I'm not an egg.
I got laid this morning by twins.
Whoa.
They each laid an egg, and I formed out of them.
What are you talking about? Great.
Now, I know it seems like we're going around in circles here, but so does time travel, you guys, okay? I want you to understand that this game was originally going to be called Race and Chase, okay? It was not intended to keep going and going and going. That's why they made expansion packs on the PC and, you know, GTA London and so forth that came. But if they intended it to keep going, all right, and then they made GTA 2, and then they realized that they wanted to change the whole thing, why would they bring the exact same character, the character, from 2 to 3, knowing that there's a 12-year difference between the games backwards? Think about that. Why would they do it? Why would they make such a continuity error unless they were trying to, unless it was intentional? Now, again, GTA 1 does not necessarily have the template, like I said, of GTA, but like I also said, does not mean that there are certain things in the game that have not been in all GTAs. Alright? Because when it comes down to the first Grand Theft Auto, the main thing that they wanted to implement were 3 different places based on 3 different very known well places. Okay? And that is Liberty City, San Andreas, and Vice City. They were introduced in GTA 1. Now, understand, that's one of the only things from GTA 1 that actually stuck, that actually went forward, alright? But if you think for a second that they're different cities because we have newer graphics, alright? Understand that things change, and it does not mean that they're not the exact same places that we know of today. And I think I have some evidence showing that the San Andreas that they have always been talking about, always, you guys, has always been, and it's always been the same San Andreas. One thing I want to make clear is that in GTA 1, you guys, they didn't even have a Russian gang, okay? They had a Russian mafia later on in GTA 2, okay? And we know of, you know, Niko Bellic and other things that are Russian related, but as far as GTA 1 is concerned, the first one, there were no Russian references except one. Now I want you to understand this is one of the references that tie things together, okay? But like I said, there's the Sinrati gang, there's Bobby's gang, there's Uncle Fu's gang, there's really no Russian gangs. But let me show you this. So now we're looking at the original GTA San Andreas that we know of, which is San Andreas in GTA 1, okay? And honestly, you guys, I believe this is the San Andreas they were saying was GTA 5's San Andreas the whole time. I believe that they're all connected, and for them to really keep hinting at certain things in the GTA 5 world, like showing CJ's picture in Lester's house or certain little things, they're obviously showing that certain games that were in the past really did happen, and that they're not just Easter eggs. The Easter eggs are what connect them, okay? And this is one of them. Now, like I said in the previous part of this video, there were no Russians in the very first GTA 1. So, why would there be reference to Russians in the map of the very first game that showed San Andreas? And the main thing I want you guys to notice here is that right about here it says, in 1968, hippie students occupied an area to the west of Sunrise and founded a commune. The dispute with the authorities ended when the governor sent a crack team of SWAT operatives who rapidly ended the confusion. The area subsequently became known as Soviet Hill. Alright, Now, before I continue, if some of you have never seen this cartoon in the GTA world, you should go and watch your TV, especially online, because it plays a lot online. It's called Gordon Moorhead, and he's basically a detective, and it's a real spoof on a lot of the old school detective shows like Dick Tracy and whatnot. But one thing that's interesting that I would like to show you guys is that I believe this, not only does it tie to past games, because this radio show has been in Vice City Stories, but it takes place in old world Vice City, but then it mentions Soviets, alright? And one of the main stories is that Soviets are infiltrating America by the movie industry to spread communist propaganda. Now, in GTA 5, this is the only fucking thing they have referenced toward Soviets. But my thing is, why would they reference it? Why? There's nothing about Soviets in the game. Alright? Same thing with GTA 1. There's nothing about Soviets in the game. Yet we have this in the fictional history of the fucking place of San Andreas. This is just the bio of San Andreas. And if you don't think it connects, I'm going to show you something else that does. Right about here, it says, this harbor was formed, okay, and it's talking about the harbor within San Andreas, was formed by the geological fault line, okay, which one day will tear San Andreas apart. 7 major earthquakes have arranged the city. Think about that. 7 major earthquakes have rearranged the city. You guys, if you've never seen some of the news clippings that have been laying on the barber's floor, or when you go into the movie studio and you see that there are newspaper clippings that say earthquake, 10 million dead, and so on, that's because, you guys, this is a connection. This is the San Andreas they're talking about. This is the one we have in 5. It's the one with Claude's speed, and it's where he was born from. And as of right now, for this theory, it appears that he's time traveled at some point. And I honestly don't necessarily know how he did it, but neither do we know how to time travel in GTA 5 yet. Okay? Another thing I want to show you is that Vinci, like I mentioned in the very first part of this video, has something to do with this. Alright? And it starts with Z-type, like I mentioned. Now we're back at Zaibatsu Corporation. Alright? And again, everything is correlated with why they showed Z-type in the Eye in the Sky mission, one of the most important symbolism missions in the game. Okay? And one thing I want you to kind of realize is that not only does Zaibatsu really kind of mean it, because I mean it's translated into financial click, but I don't think that's what they're hinting towards here when it comes to them at all. Okay, I want you to just understand that I think Zaibatsu is a connection to Claude, and for us to understand the what is wrong is here about it. We're supposed to understand certain things about why they would even put it in the game. Now, Zaibatsu, the corporation, alright, even though we have time and time again seen lightning bolts and, you know, certain patterns of electricity being formidable with what is the Easter egg and time travel. Notice how they have products, but one of their products is that they own an electrical power station, and they own them everywhere in Anywhere City. Alright? It's not just a power station like in GTA San Andreas and GTA 5, how we have water and solar and power generators and places, but there is no electricity power station. Notice that, you guys. There's only solar and there's only water and power. All right? But there's no electricity. Like, there's no electricity plants at all. They're all based on either natural resources of gas or solar or water. They're not really based on electricity and current and whatnot. So, them being tied to electricity, I understand it sounds a little far-fetched for me to make the connection, but another thing that makes this connection is this. Okay, now, aside from GTA 5 and GTA 2 being the only two, okay, based in the same time that you can actually do multiplayer, alright? I want you to understand that there's a reason they implemented multiplayer is such a crucial part of this game, and it isn't just for GTA 4 having multiplayer, okay, because GTA 2 was the very first GTA to have multiplayer. There's a reason why it's circling back to GTA 2, you guys. And I'm telling you, there's a huge connection between 5 and 2 that they're trying to show us, right? And this is one of them. Understand that the radio stations are significant in certain ways, okay? One thing that you'll notice is that out of all of these, that Rebel Radio is still here. And understand, you guys, this is only in GTA 5 and GTA 2, alright? In GTA 2, they didn't even reference them as Rebel Radio. Okay, you have to listen for them to say, oh, this is Rebel Radio, you're locked into Rebel Radio. There's certain things that they say, they're wordplay, but technically it was called King back in those days. So it's the smaller things that later on become bigger things. Just like the Zanbatsu and Futuro FM. Understand, Futuro is not even a word, you guys, okay? Futuro is missing a few letters, alright? And I think a big part of that is that they wanted you to understand that there are 6 letters there, but there are a few missing. Now, aside from them being the only radio station that the Zanbatsu want to listen to, that they actually run their promos through and all that, you'll notice that, see if we can get a closer picture, that the Zanbatsu listen to Futuro Radio. I guess the first thing I want you guys to understand, and I want you to truly understand, is that Futuro is not a word, okay? It's too thought out. I mean, really think about it. For it to be a non-existent word and to just be that closely tied to a main enemy in the game, you know, you're bound to see it. It's nothing that is out of the way. It's something that is in your face. So why would they come up with a name as Futuro? I mean, honestly, you guys, it could be Future FM. Why didn't they just do that? Why not? I think I know why they chose Futuro. Because it's too random, you guys. Who comes up with that word? Okay? I think Futuro comes from Futurology. Alright? And futurism. It is the study of postulating possible, probable, and preferable futures, and the world views and myths that underline them. Okay? Now, if you're wondering what that means, it's basically the study of being in the future. Now, I ask you, why would they put this in GTA 2, you guys, if the present time then is supposed to be 2013? Wouldn't it be the present? Why would they reference so many things in the game about the future? Why would they do that, you guys? And if you think that I'm just trying to make these correlations to GTA 5 and GTA 2 as bullshit, I want you to really use your brain about it. And I'm going to show you something that connects them. Right here, it talks about basically GTA 2's time being debatable. And that's one of the inconsistencies I'm talking about, and why they had all the opportunity that they had to actually fix the problem, the actual error in their timeline, but they chose not to, and they actually chose to just say fuck it and make GTA 3 with the same character, no less, okay? So understand, they stuck with what they're doing, they rolled on. But I think there's a bigger reason for it now, okay? Right here, it says right here that there are police records on Grand Theft Auto 2 websites showing that the dates are July 7, 2013 and July 10, 2013, okay? Meaning that the game was most likely set then. And even the guns in the game are futuristic of the time. So why would they implement that? Just answer me that. I just don't understand why they would implement so many things into the future only to backtrack. You guys, once again, backtrack in GTA 3. There is a time error here. Okay? A huge one. And for some reason, the same game that has a huge time error is the same game that is tied the closest to the same game that we have had so many time travel references towards and so many hidden things about. Okay? Understand, I really think that this game is tied too closely to GTA 5 and we have too much evidence. Now I'm going to show you what I meant about earlier about Da Vinci and how he is possibly tied to all of this. Now we're back looking at Futuro or Futurology, okay? Now, one thing I want you to notice here is the atom, all right? You can, for your own sake, call it an eye, call it, the wheels of time, anything you want to. But one thing it is that it's an atom, okay? Now, if you don't think atoms have anything to do with futurology, I'm going to show you just why Da Vinci and atoms and futurology are all tied together. And it's definitely why atomists and atomism is tied to Galileo. And Galileo is the exact same person they renamed the Griffith Observatory with. Think about that. Why would they rename the observatory? Even though they've had plenty of other references towards sexual things or funny things, they chose to use Galileo. Okay? They could have made a joke, but they chose Galileo as a parody for Griffith. I'm going to show you. Now, as you can see, once again, excuse my broken phone, but as you can see, perpetual motion, okay, was basically discovered by Leonardo da Vinci, all right? And the man was obsessed not only with wheels, okay, and time, but he was obsessed with, like, flying machines, which he's noted to be one of the first true architects of the flying machine. But he was also one of the pioneers of time travel and its theory, okay? And one thing I want to point out is that Da Vinci, all right, just like Galileo, was an atomist. And I'm going to show you what atomism is. As you see, atomism, okay? This is a big reason why they referenced atoms in the first place. In the description it says, atoms are the only perpetual material things in existence, and all else in the world is accidental. Okay? So understand, that's a big part of atomism, the belief, okay? To believe of it. Now, I'm going to show you why atomism is relevant and why it's relevant with Da Vinci, why it's relevant with flying, why it's relevant with Galileo, and most importantly, why it's relevant, you guys, with Isaac Newton. Have you guys honestly ever wondered why there's so many telescopes in the game? As you see, we're looking at Galileo's telescope, okay? And in 1609, the astronomer Galileo learned of the telescope, an invention that magnified the view of distant objects. He built one himself with a tube and lenses, okay? And used to observe the sky. Galileo resolved the stars, the Milky Way, mapped out the moon's surface, and discovered the moons of Jupiter. His work changed our view of the universe, and he did it with one small telescope. Okay? Now, why I'm showing you this about telescopes is that I think they wanted us to understand atoms, then understand why they're relevant with time travel, which is perpetual motion. Okay? It's all correlated with perpetual motion. But the perpetual motion was also theorized and discovered by the same references of scientists that they put in the game, Galileo. Okay? And it's ironic that they put him next to the observatory. Alright? They put him as the same name as the observatory. It's really called the Griffith Observatory, but in the game it's called Galileo. Okay? Now I think what they're trying to reference you towards, the sum of all of this, is Isaac Newton. And as you see, it says Newton's principle formulated the laws of motion and universal gravitation, which dominated scientists' views of the physical universe for the next 3 centuries. Okay? So understand Newton is a big part of just the Easter egg in general, but these 3 scientists are big parts of what they were referencing. And one of the main things that I believe they were referencing, not only with Newton, but with Galileo, was for you to look up Tesla and understand that Tesla's part is about power and electricity and how he was basically the main pioneer in that field. Okay? Aside from that, I want you to understand that Newton is one of the biggest clues that we're going to get from the epsilon. Because what is it when an apple flies up from a tree, but within truth lies lie? So if truths are lie, then the lie is the truth. Meaning, instead of flying upward, it falls downward from a tree. And what fell from a tree near Isaac Newton? An apple. Understand that Isaac Newton isn't just, a bullshit reference to someone who is smart, okay? Understand that the reflecting telescope is a telescope at the Griffith Observatory. Even at the Galileo Observatory in the game, it points toward a reflecting telescope, okay? The reflecting telescope was created by Isaac Newton, okay? And he created it through a combination of curved mirrors that reflected the light to form an image. Okay? Now, the reason I'm emphasizing the certain words here is because, once again, it's about wordplay. Okay? Mirrors. Understand mirrors. And this is Leonardo da Vinci. And as you see, just for those who don't know, he was the first to design the flying machine. Okay? Another thing that's a coincidence is not only his obsession with the wheel of time, but eggs and human eggs. In fact, he was the first person to ever draw a human egg, the actual embryo of a person. Okay? He was the first person to do this and to actually express to everyone else what it was actually like to see one. Okay? He was the first person. Now, aside from that, I want you to understand that bones and skeleture were one of the main things that he sketched throughout his career. Now, I'm asking you, this is a question. Could this be why we have a skull mask in the story mode? I mean, all the other masks kind of make a little sense here, especially with parodies, but there's just a random skull mask in there. Okay, think about that. Another thing that you have to understand about Leonardo that is part of the wordplay is that Leonardo was self-educated. He taught himself, okay, which is a big part of what I think Rockstar wanted us to do here, okay? And I want you to understand a big part of who he was, which was Da Vinci loved puzzles and word plays. Okay? Like I said, that's not just coming from me. That's coming from Leonardo da Vinci. All right? Just realize that. I really feel as though that these scientists and philosophers, they're all tied together to understand one understanding. Okay? Just understand that. Leonardo da Vinci was the very first person to draw the human heart. Okay, like I said before, Newton built the first practical reflecting telescope, okay, and developed a theory of color based on the observation that a prism, okay, a prism decomposes white light into many colors of the visible spectrum, okay? Now, I want to show you guys what a prism is if you don't know what it is. And like I said, I don't think any of this is bullshit. It just so happens to be a pyramid, okay? A white light into a pyramid creates a spectrum of different colors, and this is how he created the theory of his telescope, okay? Now, there's one more thing I'm going to show you that I feel as though ties what we have to do, and that's mixing the different theories together, but only you guys, in the right way. Straying too far away from the right way can end up with confusion, and that's why and how we've been lost for a year and a half, okay? We either found the right Easter eggs the wrong way and too fast, or we found the right ones and did not notice them at all. If you do not remember what I played in the beginning of this video, which is Chris Fromage, and what he says about being laid. Now, it could have been taken as just a bullshit joke. Or was he talking about literally being laid by human twins? Now, the twins sounds a little funny. You know, it sounds like, okay, a threesome. Or is he hinting toward two different people at the exact same time? Alright? No different than in Back to the Future when Marty had two of him, the old one and the younger one. But they were basically the same person, twins. Is this time travel, you guys? Is this what they're hinting towards? Honestly, some part of me thinks, okay, this all could be just whatever coincidence, right? But there are certain things about Leonardo da Vinci that are in GTA that, are honestly a big part of GTA 5 and that we've seen throughout the whole fucking game. And he has come up with such ideas as the tank, solar power. Okay, I know you've seen solar panels everywhere. Think about that. And the helicopter. Okay? Realize, you guys, Leonardo da Vinci had some part of GTA some way or another. I literally just read this, you guys. The Earl of Arundi bought a particular collection of Leonardo's notes, okay, in 1630, which is now called the Codex of Arundi. The papers in the Codex were written in Leonardo's mirrored left-hand writing. Okay? Mirrored left-hand writing. Or from right to left. And if you don't get what that is right there, it's basically rearranging and segregating, okay? And is a compilation of beliefs, texts, drawings, and diagrams on science and art. Included in the codex is Folio 44, which essentially is a listing of synonyms for the word penis. Penis, you guys. Now, if that's not telling you that not only is like every single dick reference that they have been doing in GTA, the same type of analogy that they have done in most of their games, but when you take away the R, which would essentially be talking about Rockstar from Penrith, what do you get? Penis. Alright? Think about that, you guys. A lot of these things are a little too closely tied together. Alright? The man loved puzzles and wordplays. And now we're looking at Mirror Park. And the first thing I want you guys to understand is just the mixing of the certain Easter eggs to rearrange and segregate what is unnecessary but still there for some arbitrary reason. Okay? Mirror Park was never part of the original San Andreas, so why would it be there? Okay? You have to understand, a lot of the main places that are relevant are the places that have come out of nowhere, like why Mount Chiliad is in a different position, why Mount Gordo exists out of nowhere, same thing with, Fort Zancudo, and why it's not Area 69 anymore. But aside from that, Mirror Park is obviously a reference towards mirrors. Mirrors being a reference towards one of the major pioneers when it came to mirrors and how they work, which is Isaac Newton. Okay, he was a pioneer in optics for using mirrors. And the first thing I want you to understand about Mirror Park is look at the way it's shaped, you guys. Okay, it looks a little odd. All right, looks just a little odd. Not that odd, but one thing that is very odd to me, you guys, is that why is it that the heart that Leonardo da Vinci drew looks a lot like it? Looks a lot like a heart, doesn't it, you guys? I mean, you got the valves coming out. Looks a lot like it. So you have to understand these things are somewhat tied together, but they're mixing the two, alright, being mirrors of Isaac Newton and the heart of Da Vinci. And just for those of you who honestly, are sticklers about the little things and like are wondering, well, the heart is on its side. That's a little, that's a little far-fetched to think that it's a heart. Well, I mean, when you think about the heart, it leans to its side. Coincidence? I'm not sure, but the mural can be a coincidence too, you guys. I really want to thank you for honestly giving me the time to tell you guys what I think about the mystery, and if it helps any situation that you have found actually helpful in the mystery, then I'm glad to have served that, and I'm glad to always be there, and I always will be there as far as learning new things about GTA 5 and the things that we honestly never cared to connect with other things that I believe they were trying to tell us. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I look forward to bringing more comprehensive hunts to the table. And do know that I have found certain things in GTA, but I'm not necessarily showing things yet, just because I really, really want no doubt. Okay? And I really, really, really hate doubters. No different than the Epsilon program. And if you've never read the entire Epsilon tract, you really should, because it's very important with the mystery. And this is just a short recap / show and tell. I just really want to show and thank a few of you who have actually put 2 and 2 together with what the fuck I'm talking about and the mural placement. And a few of my subs have pointed this out to me, even though this is what I was talking about the entire time, is that right here being Mount Gordo, that being Michael's last step before he gets abducted or whatever activates a certain Easter egg. I find it funny that in the mural, right above that is a spaceship, and right above Mount Gordo is the sunken spaceship. And GTA's Easter eggs are known for being unactivated and being props until activated. It's no different than that lady in the water. That's part of the murder mystery, and she's just there. But if you don't see the other steps, then she's useless, and you never get the black and gray slides. Alright, so to recap, a lot of what I've been saying in this video is I really feel as though GTA 2 is a huge proof that not only there's been time travel, but time travel is possible. That you have to believe in it, and that they've been showing you that there is a huge connection between GTA 5 and GTA 2. And like I said, you guys, my personal beliefs, but I really feel as though GTA 5, the San Andreas we know it to be, is the San Andreas that GTA 1 and 2 were talking about. Alright? They're all connected. They tried to tell you that they're not, that the HD and the 3D universes are two different things, that there's no real significance with that, but no, you guys, they're all connected, and the Easter eggs are what connect them. Thank you, guys. Yeah, and before we go, you guys, I want you to pay attention to what's in front of your screen, which is something that's in common with all of the GTA games except GTA 5. And it's one small, very major thing that's in front of your eyes, but understand this. I find it funny that a lot of people judge my theories, you know, and everything, but they have no merit to their own. And if you're really going to question, and I'm not talking to my real jetpack hunters, but if you're really going to question the significance between GTA 2 and GTA 5, look at the back of your fucking box. Spread the truth.